Hey everybody, it's Sarah with Loaves and Dishes, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super delicious pineapple mango chicken. This is so easy. You do it all in one pot. It's so delicious, y'all. So we cut up an entire package of chicken thighs, and for this recipe, you want to use chicken thighs because chicken thighs are, when you cook them this way, they're more moist, they're tender, they don't dry out as easily as chicken breast. If you are adamant about using chicken breast, you can. You just want to make sure that you're not cooking them too long. So what we're doing is we're cutting up all these chicken thighs. We're going to cook them in a pan, and we had to do 2 batches. So you put a little bit of oil in your pan, and then you cook them in batches and you season them and everything. And then you make your pineapple mango sauce. And then if you wanted to serve this with rice, or maybe if you had some like chow mein noodles, that would be really good, but rice would probably be the easiest. And this made so much food. This made enough for, I wanted like a ton of people, like 3 or 4 people twice over. So this is a big recipe. This would be a great meal prep recipe. So I put a little bit of oil in the pan. It's about 2 to 3 tablespoons, just kind of enough to cover the bottom. And then we're adding our first batch of chicken. If you make a whole bunch, you want to do it in batches so that you're not overcrowding the pan and so that everything kind of gets a nice brown crisp on it, that brown crunchy crust. Okay, so now we're going to season the chicken just with a little salt and pepper. You could add additional seasonings if you wanted. If you wanted to add garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, kind of any of the usual stuff that you see on this channel, it would be absolutely fine to add into that chicken. And so now we're going to peel and chop up 2 mangoes. I don't know if mangoes come in a canned variety, but if you found canned mangoes, I'm sure they would work just fine. I don't know that I would use frozen. You could use frozen as long as you let it thaw first. If you had some frozen mango chunks in your freezer, and you wanted to use those, I think that would probably be fine. You just need to let them thaw first. But we're peeling and cutting up 2 whole mangoes. And mangoes, if you don't know, mangoes have a pit in the middle. It's kind of long. It runs almost the length of the fruit. So just watch out for that and make sure you're not getting any of the pit in your chunks. And see there, Mom is cutting around the pit there. The mango that we were using was a little bit hard. And I apologize, you're going to hear my dishwasher going. It was a little bit hard. So if you get a mango that's not quite ripe, just let it cook in the pan for a few minutes and it'll soften up. It'll just take a few minutes to cook before you want to add your other ingredients. Make sure you keep an eye on your chicken. Now, when you're cooking your chicken this go round, this is just to kind of get a nice brown on the skin. You don't have to cook it all the way through. So we're kind of doing like a quick cook on the chicken first. Then we're going to deglaze the pan with some pineapple juice. Add your fruits and everything, and then you're going to add the chicken back, and it'll cook for a few more minutes while you're adding ingredients and that sort of thing. But your chicken will, if you cut it up in small chunks, like bite-sized pieces, it will get mostly done this first go around, and that's part of what keeps the chicken juicy. Is that you don't want to overcook it. If you just left it in the pan this whole time, it would be so dry. I don't know if you can tell, but mangoes, cutting up fruit is a little bit difficult, especially with like mangoes and pineapple, with fruits that like excrete a lot of juices, because then they get kind of slippery and hard to hold on to. So be careful if you're cutting up fresh fruits. And I know this might sound weird, but make sure your knife is super sharp. A dull knife will cut someone faster than a sharp knife will. That's a huge tip from me to you. You would not believe how many dull knives I've been seriously cut with. So you just want to chop up your fruit into bite-sized pieces, and we used fresh mango, and we're going to use canned pineapple. just 1 can of the pineapple. And if you didn't want to use mango and you wanted to just use pineapple, you could. Or if you didn't want to use pineapple and you just wanted to use mango, you could. So here we are removing our first batch of chicken from the pan. And you can see all that nice brown fond on the bottom of the pan. And that is really important. You want that stuff, but you don't want it to burn. So and here we are removing our second batch of chicken. Okay, so now we're going to deglaze the pan with pineapple juice. And if you have a gas stove, be extra careful because we kind of caught the pan on fire a little bit. It was really exciting. You're just going to pour the juice out of the can, and then you're going to take your spatula and kind of scrape it along the bottom of the pan to get up all those brown bits. That is where the flavor is. That is liquid gold right there. Actually, it's not liquid. It's stuck onto the bottom of the pan, but you get the point. That's the good stuff. If you've ever had a sauce and you've thought, man, the sauce is really good, it's because it's got that stuff in it. So now we are adding our mangoes to our pan, and like I said, our mangoes were a little bit underripe, so we did let them cook for a few minutes before we continued adding other ingredients. If your mango is super ripe, you could just, probably dump everything in the pan and it would be fine. Or if you had frozen mangoes and you let them thaw, those would probably also be pretty ripe as well. So now we're going to add 1 can of pineapple, just pineapple chunks. And we're going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of garlic. You can measure the garlic with your heart. You could add more or less. And then we're going to add our chicken back to the pan. We're going to chop up 1 bunch of green onions. I strongly recommend using green onions. I would not recommend using chives. Chives just don't have enough of the onion flavor and the crunch that you get from adding the green onions. And if you don't like green onions as much, you could leave them out, but it would seriously impact the flavor. So I wouldn't recommend it. You could add a little less, I guess, maybe if you don't like green onions, but I personally love green onions. So anyways, we're just doing a rough chop on this. It's for flavor, but also because it adds a pretty green color. You could add actual onion. If you wanted to add an actual onion, that would be good. And then you're going to give that a really good mix. And I apologize again for my dishwasher. And then you're going to add 1 bottle of very teriyaki marinade. And you're going to mix that all together. And you want to let it cook a little bit just to make sure that your chicken is done. Once it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees, it is done. And you can take it off and serve it. It would be delicious over some rice. But that's really it. It's really easy. It looks like a lot, but it is very simple. and it's all in one pan. It makes enough, like this would be great meal prep if you were like making yourself lunches for the week. You could eat on this the entire week, and it's absolutely delicious. And the longer it sits, the more the flavor, it gets stronger. It's delicious. So if you want to see more recipes like these, check out loavesandishes.net. If you want to hear more from myself and my mom, we do have a podcast. It's called Dorks with Sporks, and you can find that wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We're putting out a new video every Monday through Friday, and thanks for watching.